For this project, we're going to use 3 power tools that most everybody has. We're going to take 2 hours. We're going to make one awesome project. Let's do it. I packed up the plans and a few small tools into this tiny box to take it with me on vacation with my family to the beautiful Destin, Florida. They have white sandy beaches and crystal clear water most of the time. While I was there, I wanted to build this project, which is why I brought the tools. So I went to Home Depot. I picked out some 1x2s and some 2x4s, as well as some screws, glue, and sanding blocks. I actually bought 4 2x4s and returned 1 because I only needed 3. So I got the lumber, the wood glue, the screws, and the sanding blocks all for $63.59. But the lumber itself was just over $23. I unpacked all my tools, and you can see I only had a drill, a driver, and a circular saw, speed square, and a tape measure. First thing we're going to do is lay out everything and cut everything, and then we'll start assembling. With the plans, it makes it super fast. Let's start the timer and see if we can get it done in under 2 hours. Make sure to square up the end of your boards because they're not square from the factory. And then I just cut all my parts out with the circular saw. You can see me using the speed square here as a guide so that it helps me keep good straight cuts. Be sure and pick up your mess. I built this on the Home Depot parking lot. I didn't ask anybody. I didn't have anywhere else to work, so I decided to do it there. I figured it was better to ask for forgiveness than permission if I got caught or asked to leave, which I didn't, so thumbs up there. When cutting out the 1x2s, I cut my first one to length, and then I used those as a guide for the rest of them. Now, you're gonna have 2 different lengths on this chair, one for the seat base, one for the seat back, but I cut them out both the same way, using one as a guide. Time check, it took me just over 17 minutes to cut out all the parts to this chair. I want to take a really quick break from the video to let you know we have build plans available for this project and many others on our website, 731woodworks.com/store. And if you use the code CHAIR, I'll give you 20% off any order. Go check it out. Now, from there, I started laying out the holes I was going to pre-drill. It's best to pre-drill holes, especially in pine, because they're notorious for splitting if you just drive a screw in there without pre-drilling. I use this countersink drill bit for every bit of this project, and it was really easy to use. It made a nice little pilot hole to hide the head of the screws, or this countersink thing. Once it was time for assembly, I used wood glue on every joint of this project. Anytime wood touch wood, that'll make everything nice and solid. This is where I use the 2.5-inch screws for the 2x4 frames to connect everything together, and the 1.5-inch screws we'll use on the seat slats themselves. For the seat slats, I drilled a countersink hole in the center, about a 3/4 of an inch away from each end. That way everything looks nice and uniform when you put them all together. I also put a 1-inch gap in between each seat slat. While I was in the parking lot building, my wife wanted to go eat breakfast, and I had the truck. So she got an Uber to a local breakfast restaurant. During the Uber ride, my wife was talking to the driver and made friends with her very quickly. Somehow I got brought up that I was making a chair in the parking lot of Home Depot, and the lady jokingly said, "I'd love to have a chair." Well, my wife said, "You can have it." For the base of the chair, I left this gap so that the back could slide in there. And speaking of the back, we're going to cut a 15-degree angle on one end of the back uprights. That's going to make it slant so that when it sets on the ground, it connects correctly. I just used my speed square for this to lay out the 15-degree angle. Then I used a circular saw and just took it slow and cut those angles out. For the 2x4 that connects the 2 15-degree angle pieces, I just slanted that slightly to match that 15-degree angle and drove screws to hold it in place. This is my son you see here who was helping me with this project so that we could get it done. And he did a really good job on this thing. If you like this type of content, be sure to hit the subscribe button, click the bell icon next to it so you get notified of all the new content we've got coming. To put the back on, because I didn't have a mallet or anything like that, I just turned it upside down and it slipped right into place. And once you slip it into place, those 2 slats should connect and stop everything where it needs to go. From there, I just drove screws from the inside towards the outside to just basically hide those screws. But you can do it from the outside in if you wish. For the front legs, I glued and screwed the uprights together and then slipped those in place, and they should bottom out on the bottom of those seat slats. That way everything's nice and solid. Be sure to use wood glue when you connect these. Once that was assembled, I broke out those 120 grit sanding blocks and went to town. This took a little bit of time and a lot of elbow grease, but it's well worth it so you don't get any splinters and you knock down those rough edges. Be sure to hit the edges of all those boards and then also the faces of them. This chair is surprisingly light, and we were able to do it in 1 hour and 26 minutes, so woo woo. It is comfortable. It's a good angle. I get a lot of comments or emails or messages saying if I had that many tools or a shop full of tools, I could build that too. Well, for this project, you don't need that. This is going back to my roots, where I started with a borrowed circular saw and 2 drills. So don't let a minimal tools stop you from building awesome projects. The important thing is you gotta have some want to. You gotta want to get out there and make things with the tools that you have. Start small and you work your way up. That's how most of us did it. This is my wife and Miss Joanne when we gave her the chair. How awesome is that? Thank you, Miss Joanne, for being so awesome to my wife and giving her a ride and just being just an all-around good person. If you like this project, you'll love the outdoor sectional we did. Click that box right there. Clicking the box gets you the big old virtual fist bump. Also, another one of my favorite outdoor chairs right there. Go check them out.